What ho, chaps, how the devil? It is Sunday, the 17th of October, 2021, and it is time for your favourite time of the week. You know it, and I know it. It is, of course, the BBC Spews. Time flies when you are permanently enraged. And if you can read this website without it culminating in high blood pressure, you're more of a man than me, or woman. A particularly stoic woman. I've had to change the format because I've been led to believe that it's extremely poor weather in the United Kingdom at the moment. I called my mate Snell, who lives in Middlesbrough, and he said he basically lost a toe walking the dog. So apparently it's Baltic, but here in Central California, it's so sunny and picturesque that I actually had to turn my camera off because I couldn't keep the brightness out of my eyes while I was trying to film this. The blinds were not cutting the mustard, so the picture was terrible. So sadly, for those of you that obviously tune in for the eye candy, unfortunately, you're just going to have to listen to the content. Tragic, I know. I can't please you all. What you can do, if you want, you can feel free to leave the audio on and just stare at a picture of Eddie Munster. Open that in another window. And you can basically, it's like I've never been away. Let's get into it, shall we? First things first, obviously I need to talk about this. So David Amess, MP murder suspect detained under Terrorism Act. One thing I will remind everybody of, this guy, I knew I recognised his face from somewhere. Those of you around my age will remember him from Brass Eye.
Cake needed an actively political kick in the pills. And that's what it got from MP David Amess, MP.
You've heard what Bernard Manning said. Cake is a bisterbile cranabolic amphetamide, which is a made-up psychoactive chemical. It comes from Prague, with its own culture of boom raves, where kids wolf down vast quantities of this. Big to contain trip nutrients. Yellow purely as a fashion thing.
Look at the fucking size of it. It's like a discus. Yeah. So it's a shame that I don't know whether he was duped into that because, you know, the rich and the famous and the elite have apparently got the common sense of a house brick. But either way, he seemed like a jovial chap. He seemed like a nice enough fella. And it's a crying shame. Rest in peace. The man who did his civic duty and talked about the dangers of boom raves and cranabolic amphetamines. Yeah, it's a shocking thing. The reason I bring this story up is because, look at this, right? The first two paragraphs. It's a man detained after MP Sir David Amess was stabbed to death is 25-year-old Ali Harbi Ali. Yeah, he sounds like a 10th generation coal miner, doesn't he? Straight away, second paragraph. Police said the British man was being held at a London police station under the Terrorism Act 2000. And as you can see in the rest of it, no more mention in the first 6 paragraphs about his origins. A bloke called Ali Harbi Ali. He's not called Bob Smith, is he? And it really annoys me because of this simple fact. The powers that be, the people that write for the BBC, the people that spent years telling us that we couldn't have Brexit that we voted for, that we couldn't do the will of the people, we couldn't enact the will of the general public, was because we're too stupid. We don't know what we voted for. We didn't all spend hours reading all the literature and come to an informed conclusion. We just did it because we're a bit thick. This story is exactly the same. It's dripping with conceit and condescension and other things beginning with confusion. Confusion. Why is Ali Harbi Ali more British than fucking Mary Poppins? Why? I'll tell you why. It's because they think if they tell people the truth, just the same as with the person that killed Emily Jones, just the same as with Salman Abedi, who blew up a lot of women and kids in Manchester, they feel as if they have to lie to us. And I'm almost defending the BBC here because I understand why they lie. Because if you have such a low opinion of the general public, if you think the general public are, as a whole, as thick as a doctor's sandwich, you think they're going to be prone to reactionary stupidity. They don't trust the general public. And I can tell you, from spending a lifetime being in the general public, 99% of people realise that this is a complex issue with no simplistic solution. But nobody thinks If the guy that did this happens to have been born in Somalia or happens to be a certain religion that YouTube doesn't like you mentioning, nobody thinks that means therefore everybody who happens to have come from anywhere near Somalia or happens to practice in any of the myriad ways you can practice your religious faith, happens to practice the same thing that he believes in, is going to be a stabby psycho. Nobody acts like that. But the people, the elite, the people that run the show, have such a low opinion of you, dear listener, that they don't think they can tell you the facts. They have to spin it. So I'm trying to understand the mentality of our leaders, but that's what it is. They think you're an idiot. And they think if they tell you the real truth about Mr. Harvey Ali, they think you'll go, fucking hell, everyone who looks a bit like him's an horrible bastard. They have a very low opinion of you. And again, I'm aware that I'm almost defending the BBC here, but that's why it happens. I don't believe that they are operating with such hate and spite and malice that everything about the BBC is purely about misleading people all of the time. The reason it's comfortable for them, just like C.S. Lewis said in his famous quote, "Of all tyrannies, a tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive." That's what it is. The BBC do not trust the working class because they aren't like us. They're all insufferable middle-class arseholes who go to posh schools and know nothing about the people they claim to represent. They think we're stupid, we can't be given all the facts, so we have to be perpetually misled. Give us the facts. They don't seem to realise that everybody knows they mislead us, and that's what makes you angry. It's not the fact that crimes take place, it's the fact that they actively talk shit constantly. I said it about Brexit, I always say it. Trust the general public. Stop lying to us. It makes people bitter and angry and resentful, and we need a news source we can rely on, not some sort of ham-fisted, pseudo-mollycoddling, omnipotent moral busybody, which is exactly what the BBC is. You are liars. We know you are liars. We know Harvey Ali, at best, may possibly have been born here, but he is not an ethnically British man, and you don't have to repeat it 50 times to try and somehow stop this fictional mob from forming up and burning all the fucking, I almost said the M-word there, the churches that have big gold bell ends on top of them. Yeah, if you know, you know. We can take it, Auntie. We can take reality. Thanks. Trust the great British public, you condescending lefty arseholes. Alright? Done. Moving on, Man United defend decision to fly 100 miles to Leicester for a Premier League game. The best thing about this is, the absolute best thing about this is that even entities are hypocritical when it comes to climate change. It's not just Meghan and Harry and all of the other rich and famous people, Leonardo DiCaprio, all of the ones who constantly jabber about climate change because obviously they want us to carry the can so they can be free to eat steaks and fly whenever they want, yeah? They want us to stop going on holiday once or twice a year so they can fly 200 fucking times a year but tell themselves, oh, it's all right because I've talked about it a lot and told everybody else not to fly. So as long as we can just get all of the peasants to never fly and to eat fucking cockroach kebabs, I can eat steak and fly on my private jet as much as I want. We know this. We know that's why they do it. But it's interesting to me that even entities like Manchester United as a whole are hypocrites on climate change. Look at it, 100 miles. Could you be arsed going to an airport? Does anyone who isn't a fucking millionaire go to the airport for a 100-mile trip? Seriously, I couldn't be bothered rocking up at an airport for a 100-mile trip. There they are, on a plane, loving life. Yeah, cheers. Cheers. You're a millionaire, so you can go on a plane. No worries. It says Manchester United have defended their decision to fly the 100-mile journey to their Premier League game at Leicester. They said they wouldn't normally do that, but there was a bit of traffic. Oh, well, if there's a bit of traffic, fuck it. Set a mattress on fire, shit in the street, and blow up a petrol station. Right? Fuck it. There's a bit of traffic. Set the oil pipelines on fire. Yeah, that's why Saddam lit the oil fields after Gulf War I, yeah? He was like, I hate traffic. Let's set all the gossips alight for 8 months. Manchester United defended its commitment to clean energy. So do you see what I'm saying? Just like me again and the Ginger Prince. All you have to do is talk. You can do whatever you like, fly wherever you want, eat whatever you please. As long as you talk the talk, these people think, once again, that the general public are so thick that we won't believe our lying eyes. We'll see them taking private jets to fly 100 bastard miles and we'll go, no, he was on the radio, him, talking about how much he loves the environment. So it must be true. I'll tell you what, we'll have to cancel that annual trip to Spain. No, sorry, wife and kids, sorry. We might have all worked hard for a year, but we're just going to have to go to Redcar instead, yeah? We'll have to have a week in Teesside's petrochemical wonderland. Yeah, you might need to wear a nuclear, biological and chemical hazard suit and march across the sands in lead boots for fear of radiating your feet or kebabbing your foot on a hypodermic needle. But hey, listen, every little helps, right? Every little helps. Every little helps. That minuscule amount of carbon generated by our yearly flight, or as a family on flying coach with another 300 dipshits. No, we can't do that. We can't do that. Because John Kerry and Leonardo DiCaprio and Meghan Markle need to go to Jamaica 11 times a year on a private jet. So shut up, unpack the car, grab your toothbrush. We're off to swim in the coal dust. It's laughable. It is laughable. So Manchester United, you don't get to talk down to me. Marcus Rashford, rash twat. Feed the kids. You know who's feeding the kids? Plumbers, truck drivers and window cleaners. That's who's feeding the kids. Marcus Rashford doesn't pay his taxes. Marcus Rashford is a self-serving shitbag like all of the rich and famous people that talk bollocks on the internet. You're feeding the kids. Rashford is dodging his taxes. He's looking after himself. He's building up his property portfolio and he's taking 100-mile flights. Ladies and gentlemen, their hypocrisy is staggering. Don't do as they bid. Eat whatever you like, fly wherever you want, and sleep like a bastard baby. Because I have more integrity in my left testicle than anybody at Manchester United can muster in their entire bodies. They have not got a leg to stand on. They have absolutely no right to talk down to any of us. 100-mile flights? Have a word with yourselves, lads. And please, shut the fuck up talking about climate change. You are in no position to lecture anybody. Marcus Rashford talking to me about climate change or feeding the kids is like Louise Woodward giving me babysitting advice. And for those of you that don't get the reference, Louise Woodward shook a baby to death. She's the worst babysitter since Jimmy Savile. So yes, Manchester United, smoke my pole. Next up, we've got this corker, this cracking story. I'm purposely hiding the photograph from you. Drag Race UK's charity case, using my platform to speak out about HIV stigma. Let me tell you, right? First of all, it is ignorant to have a bad attitude towards people with HIV. It doesn't just affect the gay community. Some people, certainly back in the 80s and the early 90s, got it through contaminated blood. It's not always because of promiscuity. It can be drugs. There are multiple reasons how you can get HIV. So it is ignorant and it is quite difficult to catch. So of course, you shouldn't mistreat or avoid people that have got it. But that being said, not everybody in the world, alas, not everybody in this prejudicial world of ours is as reasonable and tolerant as the Angry Bootneck. Some people have a stigma about it, for whatever reason. But here's the thing. If something has a stigma around it, why would you pick someone who looks like this to help rid yourself of a stigma? Right? This is telling me about stigma. If the person trying to talk people out of stigma looks as if they would fucking terrify an 8-year-old, I don't think, again, the wisdom of the normal, of the 99%, I don't think if your spokesperson looks like a cross between the girl who crawled out the TV in The Ring, Dame Edna, and fucking Pete Burns, I don't think it's the wisest choice to be lecturing people about stigmas. I think you should go with someone a bit more easy on the eye. Which brings me to my primary point. Charity Case It's going to scare the shit out of people when they most need to feel relaxed and open to persuasion. But like they all do in this day and age, they want to make out in 2021 as if they invented the concept, right? They want to 2021, they invented the concept of anti-racism. 2021, they invented the concept of being tolerant to gay people. 2021, they invented the concept of letting women vote. These stuck-up, arrogant, narcissistic little pricks want to pretend that they're the ones doing all the hard work when they know deep down, like I keep saying, they don't believe their own bullshit. They know that all the hard work was done decades before they were born. They know for a fact they are infinitely more privileged than the people who struggled, the feminists who struggled in the 50s, the blacks who struggled in Jim Crow era United States, the gay community that struggled when Harvey Milk was doing his thing in the 80s and 70s with Stonewall in San Francisco. We know the truth. They know the truth. They don't believe their own shit. They know they're privileged. They know they have it better than anybody. The black community in Britain knows that they get more help than the white working class. The gay community knows they have a privileged platform. They get treated better than the average Joe in the street. The women know that there are many ways women have it easier than men. That's why the suicide rate's so much lower. That's why the homeless rate is so much lower. They all know it, but they lie because they want to make themselves out to be heroes. Let me tell you, right, charity case, it's 2021. You didn't do anything. You haven't done any hard work. All you have ever had is privilege. Here's someone who did plenty of work. Princess Diana. There she is in 1991, hugging and playing with a HIV-positive baby. There you go. That's how you get rid of stigma. You don't go on the fucking BBC and say, look at me, and try to disguise your hollow narcissism as public service. You lying little rat. It's not a public service, it's self-service. Just like our politicians, just like our footballers and our climate advocates, it is shameless self-service. This lady didn't have to go and hug an AIDS victim. She could have just stayed in the palace and drank tea and got rattled by Will Carling and Oliver Haw and Harry's dad and anybody else. She loved a bit of cock, did Diana. She didn't have to go and do any of this, but she did it. So fair play to her. Hugging babies with AIDS, shaking blokes' hands, hugging them, touching them, refusing gloves when the medics offered them to her. This is when she visited a hospital in Harlem. In Harlem. That is destigmatising. This is self-serving and everybody knows it. Alright? Fuck it. That's 3. I think that'll do yous. I've treated you enough this week. Let's call it there. Thanks for tuning in. I have been the very, very Angry Bootneck. Hopefully, despite the diminishing returns from my long-suffering channel, I'll get at least one more done and we can bow out. Unless you want me to crack on, at which point I suggest you like it and share it and buy me pints, you tight bastards. But regardless, I do appreciate your continued support and I'll see you for the next live stream at 7 PM on Monday. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll see you all very soon. Cheers.